Hi, thanks for joining me today. My name is Lindsay. I'm the designer behind Doing the Most Design, and you can find me on Ravelry at LindsayDTMD. I can't wait to show you what I've got in store for you for today's video. One more thing that I want to share with you about double knitting before we get into this transition round is that some people might feel quite intimidated by the number of stitches that you need to maintain on your needles for double knitting. As the name implies, you are knitting twice. So even though looking across this distance right here might only be, and I can't remember, like 40-ish stitches, this space actually when I'm on my needles is about 80 stitches because I have to double the number of stitches for the inside component. Now, as you are working through the color work, it's going to look pretty interesting because you have alternating colors typically, especially for these rounds that are just one color all the way across. Those can be quite fun. And again, if you are learning double knitting or two-handed knitting, this might be a really good way to get that muscle memory. But don't be afraid of how many stitches your project eventually turns into. And now looking at the round that we need to knit, we need to increase the number of stitches that we have on the needle by enough to start doing the motifs. And so the technique that I'm about to show you will increase your stitches by 50%. So whatever you have on your needles now is going to go up by half of that number. But we need that in order to get this double knit adequately equipped with the correct number of stitches. All right, so off camera, I have changed my knitting needle. I'm going to replace my beginning of round marker. Now, as you may predict, since I have changed the size of the needle on the right hand side, all of my stitches as of right now are sized for a US 2. So I'm not actually going to put a ton of stitches on my needle. I'm just going to put a couple of stitches just like this. And then I'm going to magic loop. As we take a very close-up view, what we should see here is going to be a knit stitch and then a yarn over, and then right here, this is a purl stitch. And then we repeat that. We have a knit stitch, a yarn over, and then a purl stitch. So these yarn overs are not technically stitches, but we are going to knit into them as if they are stitches. We do have to follow two very specific things though, which is number one, we have to move this yarn over first over the purl stitch, and then we will knit or purl into the yarn over after we work a knit, a purl, and then we will work the yarn over. The other thing is that if you have any experience with lace knitting, yarn overs create intentional gaps in your work. So in order to close up those gaps, we have to work through the back loop for every single yarn over that we either knit or purl into. Purling into the back loop of a yarn over is not always fun, especially depending on how tightly you've been knitting. So again, those are our two specific things that we need to do is number one, every single yarn over that we have, we need to move it past the purl stitch. So it's knit, purl, yarn over, knit, purl, yarn over. The second thing is that we are going to always need to knit or purl through the back loop of this yarn over in order to tighten it up and make sure that we do not create holes or gaps because that is lace style knitting. So what we're going to be doing here is rather intuitive. We'll be double knitting and we'll do a knit, purl, knit through the back loop, then purl, knit, purl through the back loop, and of course that will be done in this yarn over, which needs to hopscotch over this purl stitch right here. Okay, so you have a choice here. You can either do the double knits in your two colors of your project, or you can do all the double knits in a single color for this project. In either event, double knitting is a technique in which you will alternate between knits and purls, but you move your yarn in front or behind your project based on whether you are doing a knit and purl. So you are constantly moving your yarn between every single stitch, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. With the double knitting, the moving in the front and the back has to happen with both strands at the same time. If you remember that Ludacris song, when I move, you move, just like that. When I move, you move, just like that. That's what you need to think about every single time you are doing double knitting. So we will do that 6-stitch repeat one more time. It's knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, but it's in double knit. So I'm moving back and forth with my yarns, both every single stitch. And then for the yarn overs, I am both scooching them over first. I'm going to leapfrog. Then I'm going to work those yarn overs through the back loop. I know this sounds like a lot to keep in mind, but it's a really great hat. So, art takes work. So here is my 6-stitch repeat. We're starting from the very beginning. For this stitch, I will knit, move my yarns to the front, hop frog this yarn over as such. I will purl into the first purl that I come across, move the yarns to the back. This stitch right here, flipping things around, I'm knitting through the back loop like this. So the next stitch here is going to be a purl. I move both of my yarns to the front. I purl this stitch, move both of the yarns to the back, hop frog this yarn over out of the way, work this stitch as a knit with my main color, move the yarns to the front, and then I have to come in basically the ass side of this stitch like that. And now my needle is pointed in the correct direction for a purl. So with my contrast color, I'm going to purl like that. I'm going to work through that series one more time. So let's take a look at all of the work that we've done so far. As you can see here, I have alternating stitches starting right here between my main color and my contrast color. That's exactly what I want to happen here. And then once I get some distance away from this transition round, it's not super strongly visible that you have some purl stitches on this. What happens with double knit stitching is that even though you see every single stitch on your needles as alternating colors, once your fabric starts to grow and hangs off of your work starts to hang off of the needles, eventually they start to situate and organize themselves so that you're only looking at the knit stitches on your side, and all of the purl stitches recede to the back. And then when you take a look at the inside, the purls that you're doing from this side obviously turn into knits on this side. And so they sort of hedge each other out so that one has a definite side, the other has a definite side. That is what is happening with double knitting. So to reiterate, every single knit stitch that I'm doing, I'm going to do that with my main color. Every single purl stitch is going to be in my contrast color. So that for these first 4 rounds that exist right here, especially this transition round, that will not change. That order will not change. When we get into the color work, that order will change, but let's cross that bridge in a few moments. Thanks for making it to the end of this video. If you have not done it yet, hit like and subscribe so you can be notified when I put out more content for you. I'd love for you to connect with me on Ravelry at LindsayDTMD. Check out my link tree for a collection of my projects. And if you're able to, leave a cash tip for me at my Ko-Fi page. All links are in the video description below. Don't forget to be kind to yourself as you learn, and thanks for spending your time with me. Bye!